Hello, Namaste. Welcome to Dev's Hammer Show. This is the flagship weekly television show of Indigenous television. Through this weekly television show, I try to bring the voices of Indigenous peoples from around the world and I try to connect their voices, their struggles and success with one another. In this television show, I conduct face-to-face interview and sometimes I conduct online video conferences. Today I am going to conduct a online video conference with Mrs. Nwe Oo, who comes from a Rakhine indigenous community from Myanmar. In Myanmar, there are over 100 ethnic groups, and Myanmar government doesn't actually officially recognizes the indigenous peoples there. Though the Myanmar voted yes to UNDRIP, UN United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. But indigenous peoples, they are called ethnic groups or ethnic tribals in Myanmar. They are facing a number of challenges, among others, armed conflict, human rights violations, and violation of their land rights. Today I'm going to discuss about such issues with Mrs. Nwe Oo, who is Indigenous woman activist, and she herself is an Indigenous woman refugee who is currently taking refugee status in the United States. Basically, I will focus about the struggles of Indigenous refugees. And first of all, I would like to welcome you to the show, Mrs. Nwe Oo. Could you introduce yourself and your community?
My name is Nwe Oo. I'm Rakhine Indigenous people. Our people live in Bangladesh and Burma, both countries, and some people live in India.
There was violent outbreak in August 2017 among the Rakhine indigenous peoples in Burma. Could you tell me about that violent outbreak?
I would like to rephrase the word people use international community, especially Buddhist versus Muslim, but it is indigenous people versus some settler. And our people, not only Rakhine indigenous people, experiences that kind of victim by this ARSA. One is the Arakan Salvation Army. Many indigenous people in Rakhine State, for example, Rakhine is one of the indigenous people, Chakma, one of them, Dainye, Mro, and other minorities, Hindus as well, who are experiencing that kind of violence and by ARSA. So Arakan Army, Salvation Army is one of the terrorist extremist group who are killing and trying to ethnic cleansing toward indigenous people.
I see. If I'm not mistaken, I read that Rakhine indigenous peoples had a control until 1780s in Burma. Later on, they lost their independence as Burma Buddhists suppressed them. Is that true?
We lost our independence from 1784, December 31st. And after that, we lost our own, our territory is governed by India, first British, Burmese, and others.
You yourself is a Rakhine refugee, currently having refugee status in California, USA, right?
Yes. So first of all, our family is the first refugees in the world. 1784, when Burmese invaded and killing many indigenous people from Nwe Oo. So over 200 years, we are the first family of the refugee from Rakhine State. So our family members scatter everywhere, Bangladesh, Burma, India, and currently I'm residing in the United States.
Could you elaborate me how you and your family became refugee after 1780s and they are settled in different countries?
So most of Rakhine people who are living in Bangladesh, Borishal and Patuakhali area, And also some people are living in Cox's Bazar, Bandarban, Cox's Bazar, Moashkali. And our people, some people currently living in Mizoram, in India.
I also read that you first flew from Burma to Thailand and then sought the political refugee there before you moved to California. Is that so? Could you tell me briefly about your journey from Burma to Thailand and now in California?
Because I went to school in Bangladesh, and then I went to Thailand for my university education in Thammasat University City, and I wasn't able to finish my university class, and I live in Thailand as the undocumented refugees before I resettled to United States.
You said that after moving from Thailand to California, you could unite refugees from Burma living there. Could you tell me what is the status of refugees in the US? How is their life?
Before we resettled to the United States, many Rakhine indigenous people, they're refugees in their own home, on land, as well as they live in now still many refugees, Rakhine indigenous refugees live in Malaysia and Thailand as the undocumented. Some people resettled in the United States as a refugees or migrant, and we don't have lots of people here in California. About 200 people, California Rakhine people living here, whole California.
I guess not all Rakhine indigenous peoples became refugees. Perhaps there are Rakhine indigenous peoples in Burma until now, right? Are you still connected with Rakhine community in Burma?
There is more Rakhine people who live in Rakhine State. There is a social, political, and many reasons. They're living in Rakhine State, and they have to flee their home, social, political, and economic reason. Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, and other countries. I am connected with the Rakhine State people. My family member living in Burma, and I also activism. I am representing for Rakhine State and Rakhine people across the globe, and trying to raise our voice from here.
You're raising Rakhine indigenous peoples issues in UN and various US administration as well, working on refugees, right?
No. So my work is not just representing Rakhine indigenous people. When I came to the United States, I helped many indigenous people from Burma, from other countries, trying to provide services, language, and other health and mental health services, as well as I worked with the major Asian American communities, and just trying to help and raise voice in the United States, many Asian American communities.
So could you tell me how difficult the life is in US? How are you being adjusted in the new country or new society in Europe?
First of all, I miss my family, and we miss our land, our family, and our own culture. That's the very sad part. But we are here, few families, Rakhine people. We're trying to celebrate our own traditional events sometime, and very challenging away from home, away from family, by myself here with my 3 children in the United States.
I also read that you were also involved in some political movement when you were in Thailand and Burma.
I was involved with the Rakhine Women's Union in Bangladesh, and providing that kind of women's and children, basic health, human rights, and education, and women's rights and other support. And we formed an organization called Rakhine Women Union. I was the co-founder with my aunt in Bangladesh. And after that, I represent for Rakhine Women Union and involved in Thai-Burma border. There's a major indigenous women's groups called Women's League of Burma. And I involved with many democracy movement, many activism for Burma. When I was living in Thailand before I came to the United States.
I see. Could you elaborate your struggles when you were living as rights activists?
When I used to live in Thailand, is as an activist, a human rights activist, have lots of challenges. Do not have own protection. Also, trying to help other people. For example, basic rights. I should have documentation. Always worried for any time will be arrested on documentation issue or deported to Burma. So it is kind of life threatening, but still always have inspired to help people and fighting for own rights and for other people. I mean, other indigenous people who are struggling, like Rakhine issues, Rakhine indigenous people, Chin, Kachin, Korean, Burma. So we want bring it peace to every individual in Burma.
Mrs. Nwe Oo, could you also tell me briefly about the indigenous peoples of Burma and their status?
Yes, but still working Burmese government and indigenous people, we still have a struggle, but working toward for peace and reconciliation. So always our struggle is union, our unity is another struggle. Many indigenous people currently use the Kachin indigenous people also victim and they're losing lives by the fight with Burmese military and toward indigenous peoples, and many innocent victims, innocent Kachin indigenous people are like refugees, their own home. So, for example, Rakhine State is the one of the another example. My state, my people struggle for. For you may know the indigenous people Rakhine, but most of the Western media they're not aware about. They know about the Rakhine State, but they are not aware about Rakhine indigenous people existence of Rakhine indigenous people. We are the most vulnerable people in the world, and we struggle a lot in our own home. Many international global families do not understand our struggles. They made decision over Rakhine State. When you look at Google search, United Nations has hundreds of decision over Rakhine State, but without us, where is our voice? Where is our indigenous people's rights? No one is asking about that. So we feel like that's a discrimination against the Rakhine indigenous people. They're violated, and we want global communities, especially United Nations itself, do not violate indigenous rights. That's what our demands to United Nations.
I still recall your meeting at the UN conference, mainly at UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues this year. Could you tell me about your experience of using such international forums to raise indigenous people's voices?
First time when I went to United Nations 2013 CSW, and when I introduced myself, Rakhine from Rakhine State, Rakhine indigenous people, lots of people feel are you Buddhist? You're killing many Muslims. So how is it discrimination against our people? I feel so exhausted and I feel disrespectful to us, toward indigenous people, especially Rakhine indigenous people. And later on, I found that permanent forum is there, and I feel that it is better to meet with these people who understand our struggle, all indigenous people across the globe. And with solidarity, we stand stronger together, fight for injustice. So my experience is meeting with the many indigenous people. I have still hope that we can able to succeed, but it will take a little bit time and a little bit sacrifice. That's why we are sacrificing every time. Attending permanent forum is very expensive for me, traveling from California to New York and all, but that's for not just only my people, for all indigenous people across the globe. We are stronger together.
Now, Myanmar, previously known as Burma, so far is not party to ILO Convention number 169, but it has voted yes to UNDRIP. Could you tell me how committed the Myanmar government is to ensure the indigenous people's rights?
To in international standard, United Nations, the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. There also, I believe, the Burmese government is currently working with many indigenous people to find some kind of solution internally within country. And I really hope that Burmese government and people from Burma, include the indigenous people, should find together to find solution and part of the United Nations Indigenous People Forum and have more discussion. So officially, I don't see any representation at the United Nations Permanent Forum from Burma government. And we are still demanding Burmese government come forward together with all indigenous people across the globe and other governments, finding some kind of real solution, sustainable solution for indigenous people.
Being a woman and refugee, how difficult the life of a refugee woman? Do you have experience facing any challenges as a woman?
Yes, when you're at home, you're safe with your family members sometimes. When you are away from home and you're refugees by your own home and then on land, and when you step another new environment, new countries, you're alone. And you have to fight many long roads. So for as the indigenous activist, why I am involved with the indigenous people's issue, especially the women's rights, our personally as well, we have lots of this struggles, disrespected as a being a woman, as indigenous people, double standard. So become activists for indigenous peoples and especially women. That's for us, that's kind of commitment, protecting ourselves and protecting our mothers and our children, and all, as well as our Mother Earth, right? So our struggle is many when we attend United Nations all the time. Many indigenous brothers and sisters across the globe, they share their hardest stories. And it's made us so sad and also have that commitment. We fought for justice and we will fight for that till we, and also passing through our next generation. We are not give up. We are not gonna give up. So we need more accountability from our communities, our society, our countries, and especially countries' government should be accountable because many indigenous women are raped victims in Rakhine State. Many stories. I have stories I would definitely share with you. They're struggling and across the globe. And today there's no solution for that. And people came and shared their stories and their lives. And what would be next? My question is, what is the solution? What is the action? And that answer we have all indigenous brothers and sisters together. This is the solution. We find the solution. This would be too, but I don't see all the time is forum meetings, any event, we hear the stories and I feel bad.
Currently, as you are in California and having been able to speak up about the rights of your community, how difficult is it for people staying in Burma to speak about their rights?
But it is very difficult for every situation, especially when I can able to speak whatever I want from here. But the people who are living in many countries, they don't have a voice. That's why we are kind of bad person here. Speak on behalf of who are voiceless, raise their voice.
After moving to US, have you ever tried to return back to Myanmar?
I wish, my commitment, I would like to bring international community's attention on Rakhine State and Rakhine Indigenous people's issue. And then if the day I can able to highlight about our indigenous people in the world, and my commitment that day I will be back my homeland and sharing these stories to all Rakhine indigenous people. So I have that kind of responsibility. I feel I have to do something from here first before I'm going back. I must have something to share to my family and my community.
That means you still have hope to return back to Myanmar and settle down with your community, right?
I have that hope. I will definitely able to do some things for my people.
Together with you, how many of you have come together to make united voices of your community?
So I have that social and other connection within the indigenous people. I trying to sit with every individual or every group, talk about our struggle. And also here is many indigenous people from Burma and non-indigenous people. I share the history about our history, our culture, and our lands and our struggle. And honestly, the people I share with them, they really get it. Some situation in Burma, and they don't judge against our indigenous people. So my uh, expectation is not only in person to meeting with each individual in the world. Social media like you is very important for uh, raise our voice. It's not about the one person. It is about the whole community. And social media is play an important role for when it comes to our issues like Rakhine issues. There we are most isolated communities in the world.
Your community have migrated to elsewhere. I want to know whether your community have still been able to retain the distinct language, culture, and distinct characteristics.
Rakhine means like preserve our own language and culture and own identity. And that's our commitment. We keep our identity and our culture and languages. No matter where we live, our heart is our land, our people, our culture in our heart with us. It doesn't matter where we live. Of course, it's kind of different kind of situation if you live in your home country with your home family members. When you are across many borders, you just disconnect. But we have aware in our minds that bring it back our own culture, own language.
I also want to know how you are transferring your language, culture, and so forth to your younger generations.
Yes, I have 3 children. I'm teaching them. I'm speaking with them sometime. But this summer, we have a plan. We are learning and speaking our own languages. I'm teaching them this summer to my children. And they know, they read many things about our stories and I share with them.
What is the percentage of indigenous peoples in Myanmar? But Myanmar government doesn't recognize them as indigenous peoples, right?
I think is majority are Burmese, over 60. So less than 40% are indigenous people in Burma.
But Myanmar government doesn't recognize them as indigenous peoples, right?
They don't call ethnic minorities. They don't call the indigenous people. They call the ethnic tribal group in Burma. So language-wise, we have the 130, over 30 languages, but majority ethnic by state. We have 8 states and also many sub-ethnic groups.
What sort of challenges have the indigenous peoples in Myanmar been facing currently?
When you don't have any decision making over your land and your territory, that's that means nothing. You have not just only losing, and losing identity is the number one. Number two is that you don't have autonomy. Well, how you make a decision about your resources, your children's education, your community's wealth, safety, and security. So, I mean, there is no losing everything.
What are the solutions, do you think, to solve such challenges faced by indigenous peoples in Myanmar?
So that's why I have really hope our indigenous people are ethnic minorities. Most of majority come together, supporting each other. That's the one solution I see. And through that, marching together, brothers and sisters, this tribe, these indigenous people, and come together as a one family and have still they're going discussion with the government, right? So I hope that leads better solution. That's my expectation. Also, this courage would be still today after peace accord signed, or many indigenous peoples leaders, and also many indigenous people are dying and being a refugee still today. That's kind of discouragement for me. Like, what would be our solution? But I have still hope our leaders from indigenous communities, all across the indigenous communities, leaders working so hard finding solutions. But it is all about unity. If we united, we will be reach that goal. If we are divided, we will have this struggle.
We are almost at the end of the show. Would like to request you to give one-line message to world indigenous peoples.
So one word would be I always hopeful, and I'm very confident our indigenous brothers and sisters Burma safe and secure. Not only Burma, in the world, all indigenous brothers and sisters finding solution together for passing our peace and unity to next generation. That would be our final destination.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Nwe Oo, for your valuable time and esteemed thoughts you shared with me.
I'm very thankful to having me your show, your TV shows, and hope our voice would be heard one day. But who are watching this TV, I'm very thankful to you all.
I have come to the end of the show. If you have any feedbacks or queries in regards to the program, you can reach me at indigenoustelevision@gmail.com. Next week, I will come up with new guests to discuss on new issues. Till then, have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.